to thank you all for making time for this. I know like everybody's busy, especially at this point of the semester, but as we know this is important, that's why we are having an emergency meeting. The main purpose of this meeting is to discuss and to vote on the proposal that we're going to present to the administration. We will not discuss specific strategies at this meeting, but the strategies will be discussed at the GSU General Body meeting that's happening right after this meeting at 6 o'clock in room 149 in the Science 1 building. We strongly encourage you guys to go.
There will be food,
Yeah,
drink,
there will be food, and soda.
stick around.
And so at the last Senate meeting, we talked about we had a discussion about how many proposals do we want. Personally, I think ideally we need to choose one proposal because if we choose two and one is very much better than the other, we automatically throw the better one out the window, right? But however, if there are two proposals that are like very similar in terms of the expenditure of the university and the benefit for the current students, I say why not have two? I mean that's just my opinion. So we can talk about this today. Ben, Sarah, do you have anything to say?
Well, I was gonna, are we gonna let Laura give her introduction? She has to,
You have a meeting?
No, I'm just here to
she has a petition for
Okay.
her
Sure.
job.
So, I've introduced myself at a couple of meetings now. I'm Laura Johnson. I'm the interim business agent for the GSU. In order to officially run, I have to collect 75 signatures from active members of the GSU. So anyone who has signed the pink card this semester, or who hasn't had a lapse in coverage. So I'm going to pass around the petition forms for the GAs and TAs who are in the GSU currently, and if you wouldn't mind signing them so I can officially get on the ballot.
Thank you.
Well, since we are passing the petition around, if we want to come back to the proposals, like I said, if one proposal is better than the other, I just say just choose one. For example, proposal 1, it's the best out of the 5. If we want to choose proposal 1, I don't think we need to. We should put any other proposal along with it. If let's say for proposal 2 and 3, they are similar in terms of the expenditure of the university and also in terms of the benefit for the current students. If you guys feel like you want to have both of 2 and 3 on it, I personally think that's doable.
Actually, about proposal 2.
Can we hold on for a second? I don't want to interrupt, but I want to pass out the proposal so you have it in front of you. Let's just move that up here for us. I can't send around that many. We might have to share a few because you made 15. These are the proposals, the 5 proposals. I also want to pass out a letter that the Employment and Labor Committee, a group of us put together, and pass that. That is more of a written type of letter as opposed to the numbers, that sort of thing.
That's
So,
a proposal, like the roadmap proposal is written, but it's not exactly finished yet because we want to nail down some more details today,
so
right?
my suggestion. Okay, go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay, will you explain this letter
Yeah.
first before we get into the proposals?
Okay, so before we get into the proposals, this is how the proposal that we're going to give to the university is going to look when we go meet with them on Monday. We'll talk about that. So this just goes through what the problem is, what the problem with the logic of the university is, what the university says they're trying to do, how that fits with the university's goals and objectives, although that's not completely hashed out in here. And it ends with proposing that what we want to do is we want to negotiate with the university. And in these negotiations with the university, the first thing we're saying is that we want equal pay for equal work. So while we have these 5 proposals here, we can go with any of these proposals in the end, but where do we want to start is of strategic importance to how we proceed on this issue and whether we win what it is what we want. So basically, as this is written, it's written to say we want equal pay for equal work. You're giving raises to the new students, we want these raises too. And that's basically where this letter comes from.
I would also add that it says in the details some of the things that we do as unpaid, some of the unpaid tasks we do at the bottom there. Recruitment tools for potential students visit campus. We provide tours, advice, house, entertainment. There's a lot of things we do probably that are unpaid, according to that. So we're trying to make it explicit what we're doing, addition to TAing and this sort of thing. And I think this letter is important. We can modify this, of course, but in addition to the proposal that we're giving, so there's a written type of thing that says, like, the things we do, the things that you're doing. Yeah, that's all I have for that.
Can I say now about the proposal?
Sure.
Okay, so I asked the graduate student in my department, which is sociology, and given the big disparity between department, TA's stipend, basically there is an agreement that for our department, the percentage-wise proposal is unacceptable.
Let's be clear, proposal number 2, you're.
Yes, yes, and it's also agreement that since we were fighting for equal work and equal pay, you know, it's basically all of the other proposal suggesting some type of differentiating. So I think is the first proposal that is acceptable, which is basically our aim here that the already current PhD student get the same salary, that the stipend as the incoming.
So that's what your constituents like.
Can I make
I'm
one
sorry?
comment, just as a point of clarification? Proposal number 5 has everyone having the same salary.
Yes, as far as it stays in line with
Yes.
equal work and equal pay, that's fine. But all of the other proposal, especially the percentage-wise, is totally unacceptable for our department.
Yeah, just speaking as the person who wrote it, I understand that.
Well, but number 3, doesn't number 3 as well? 1, 3, and 5 all have, right?
What's number 3?
Number 3,
Yeah.
well,
No,
yes
number
and
3
no.
Number 3 is by
Number
cohort.
3 would have.
It's an increase by year
No,
of
you're right,
entrance.
number
Yeah,
3 would
number
also
3.
be equal in number 3 as well.
Because it's
then you
about the
didn't either
incoming
have
people the
a-
year, so each year.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because, I mean, and I don't know if this is the time to talk about what cohort, like what departments said, but my department, number 5 seems the most realistic and also doesn't create a second class TA. Like, that's what our whole meeting was about, was that this is creating a second class TA by having all of us make less money and saying you're less than the incoming people. And 1, 3, and 5 don't create a second class TA, but 5 is the most realistic that we think they'll actually do. They're not spending any more than they currently are.
Slight counterpoint, the main concern with number 5 is that it fails to achieve the university goal of reaching 75th percentile funding compared to universities nationwide.
Does number 3 do that?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
By
So number 3 is kind of the
2019.
happy middle between 1 and 5, basically.
You can think of it that
Can
way.
I make a comment on this? So our proposals that we have in here that we came up with the Employment and Labor Committee are based on the assumption of $600,000, which was allotted in the roadmap plan. The problem is the original request made in the proposal for the roadmap was $500,000, with an awareness that the actual cost of giving these new cohorts raises was going to be closer to $800,000. So there's still a mystery, almost $200,000. You don't know where it's coming from. So that's something to keep in mind with these proposals. Like, We're trying to be fiscally conservative and follow what the university's laid out, but at the same time, the university has little secrets that they're not telling us about.
I would like to make the point that I feel like before we decide what proposal we want to put forward, we need to decide like what our strategy is. Do we want them to say no right away and then we go through other avenues through the union? Or do we want to come up as like, okay, we're willing to negotiate, please fix this with us now? So, cause like, if we present one, we all know that they're gonna say just no, flat out.
We're gonna say no regardless.
True.
Like,
That
we're just
is
gonna say
true.
no.
You think that whatever the proposal we show up, they're just gonna say no?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then what are we choosing?
I can make a comment on that. I've been encouraged by faculty in our department that the
What,
roadmap proposal,
can you tell us what department?
the chemistry department,
And your
sorry,
name,
Steve,
thank you.
sorry. That our best chance of getting anything is through a roadmap proposal. It was strongly encouraged that if it's done the right way, that we could get something out of it going through this, because there's money sitting there. It needs to be allocated. If we have a strong enough position and we're fair enough, it's something that can be done for us.
Actually, I was gonna talk about that today, but I mean, due to the limitation of the time, we decided not to. But since you brought it up, we are putting in a proposal to roadmap regardless how it goes here.
So this is two separate proposals that we're discussing.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a problem with the roadmap proposals in that they only address, you cannot submit a roadmap proposal for 2016. And by that time, it's already too late. The inequality has become institutionalized.
December 1st is the deadline for the 2017-2018 roadmap proposals. And those roadmap proposals don't add to the base salary of the university. They're for one-time things, one-time expenditures, just for that academic year. So that makes it a little more complicated. But
And just to add on to that, because the university is funding this increase through roadmap money, it's a big flaw in their plan in that they don't have a sustainable funding model for these increases. They have no plan whatsoever for where they're going to find the money for TAs that are starting after 2019.
no, that money's added to the base salary, base budget.
Well, but my point is
So it's a
that
permanent addition.
it's a permanent addition, but they don't know what's going,
Yeah,
they
they
haven't
have to
allotted
get
money
money
for
from
2020.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But isn't the idea that if
Oh, they
they're
have
investing in their
planning
students, they're gonna get it in return in like alumni donations? Isn't that what the whole foundation was?
No, that's
I
from
don't know.
tuition increase. Are you talking about the funding of the roadmap?
I mean, from my understanding, like the whole idea is they're gonna invest this money now in students, especially with our new school coming in, like the new pharmacy school and things like that. And that money's gonna come back by investing in the students now, they're going to get jobs that make enough money to give it back to the university, and it's gonna create a self-cycle.
We will never.
That's very
Yeah.
unreliable.
I mean, that's just what I've heard is kind of the
Do
mindset.
research on that.
I think increasing enrollment is the primary
Yeah.
way that they're planning to raise money. Increase tuition, increase enrollment.
I think they want to get up to 6,000 grad students in the next 3 to 4 years, so that there's a ratio, I think a 1 to 3 ratio between grads and undergrads. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, there's some requirement for being a research university.
Right, besides that 75%.
So, all right, can we get back on track of the proposals? Any other department feel strongly about any particular proposal? Like personally, I don't like the proposal number 4 because it doesn't achieve anything but sabotage the incoming students, PhD student status. And it doesn't really do anything for current students. Yeah, sure.
Proposal number 4 accomplishes 2 key goals. Number 1, it provides a raise for current graduate students by 25% of the proposed university increase. So it does increase salaries. It accomplishes the second goal in that it is the only proposal that is cheaper than the current university plans. And funding can be very much a zero-sum game, and actually a very important point when it comes to actually negotiating with the university. So while it is the worst proposal in terms of what money current TAs can get, it accomplishes the goal of the university by having the stipends eventually reach their proposed numbers. It costs less, and it gives us a raise.
Okay. So the current students does get something, it's just
Yes.
not reflected in the title.
Wait, I'm just missing something. Are you saying that that old TAs in 2016 would be paid the same thing? Like, so you're
Yes.
okay, that's what I'm clear
Yes.
on.
Yeah, so that's why on the proposal, if you look on well, I don't have slide numbers on here, but on the diagram for proposal 4 that shows the distribution over the years, the value for a given group is shown to the right of the arrow that represents the group. The top arrow represents old TAs. They would be getting X the base plus 1/4 of the increase. The TAs starting in 2016 would also get the base plus 1/4 of the increase.
They're raised to meet this
To
income
meet
class.
the income class, but the people starting in 2017, they would have a higher salary than us.
Maybe we can have better proposal before on the so it's the first one or the one.
Wait, why do you have an issue with the third one? 'Cause the third one still is the thing. It's just incrementally increased. Which I think 1 and 3 are the strongest.
That was the business.
Well, number 3 has been implemented before too.
What was that?
Has it?
Was it? Yeah, isn't that what happened last time? They
2005?
Yeah.
I thought we came to the conclusion that they just upped everybody to the new value.
Okay.
That was my understanding.
Maybe that's what the council told us, but I think I was like just about that.
There's a lot of ones.
I just basically want to state that the graduation not from my,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Someone
We got a hand back here.
Oh, she did that. Okay.
So I just basically want to let you guys know that the graduation from our department, it's like either the first one or the last one.
Either the first one or the fifth.
I guess, since we were talking about proposal 4, I just wanted to say, I think if our point going into this is that we're going in saying that it's sort of morally suspect to pay people who are coming in after current students more, that I understand that 4 gives the old TAs a raise on par with people coming in 2016, right? But for the rest of the years, there's always gonna be cohorts who are making more. And I worry that if we take that proposal to the administration, they're gonna be like, well, then what's your point? If, you know, like, if your problem is, then why are you proposing a plan where people coming in after you are making more money? You know what I mean? I realize it gives us a raise, and then it costs less money, but I just feel like, on principle, maybe it's not the best way to go.
Good point.
We should just go department to department and ask them which ones they want.
Okay, are you ready to vote? All right.
Are we voting on just the one?
Yeah, sure.
Are you?
If you feel strongly about 2, you can put your first choice and second choice. But if you are like your mind is set on 1, why not just pick 1? Sam,
Do I wanna do what now?
do you want to do the vote?
There's a hand there.
Oh, there's a hand.
Just for 1 second, can we just go back to why we're voting? It's been said that,
Yes, thank you.
that they're gonna reject anything. So I wanna know what I'm actually considering in the voting. Am I considering something that I actually want, in which case I think everybody would vote for 1, because I do want the most money. They're all gonna be thrown out, why would I vote for the moderate? It
Well,
doesn't matter. Are we going into this expecting that we have some leg in which to negotiate with the administration, or are we going into this to try to make this a moderate point? That's gonna change the way that I do it.
I mean, I just have a comment, like, I think that we should go in, we should not go in with the mindset of no, because nothing's ever done that way, you know? I mean, from civil rights on up to labor laws, like, nothing's ever done that way. I think we should go in with what we think is reasonable and fair. Obviously, one is like the most, of course, we all want that much of raise. Do we think that's the most reasonable? My department does not think that one is going to get us what we want, and is going to get us a yes, because it is literally doubling their budget. Like our stance is, we're gonna go in with the picking one and staying behind it resolutely, and trying to pick multiple and saying like, oh, if they say no to this, we'll back up to this, and I just think is a bad strategy, and I think we need to have like a proactive, like optimistic view of it. But I don't know if that's what other departments feel, I just know that like, if we go in saying, well, we might as well just throw out the biggest one because they're gonna say no anyhow, then we'll probably end up like with a no if we think no going in.
That sense is, you know, that's what we would do. Because of course they passed this plan that, yeah, of course they're gonna want it.
Right.
But they can't have it, right?
And to me, like I had a separate meeting with my department, we voted on it and we voted for 5 because we think we are, there's no second class TA like we talked about. We are all getting paid the same, but we are also not asking for that much more. We're actually not asking for no more.
I guess just pulling on kind of past work experience, I used to be a training negotiator. There is benefit to setting up a really serious system. So part of it is like the way you phrased it, and that's what I want to kind of highlight for everybody is usually you do go in with the best offer, even if you have an expectation, hopefully you're positive, but if you have an expectation that you're going to fail, because it then requires them to make a counter offer. And so that requirement is that if you go in with an option that's crap, your counter offer is going to usually be half of that. So you start out with crap, you get half of crap. But if you start out with what you want and you get half of that, then at least you're better off as a whole. So there is like a strategic way of actually approaching this from a negotiating standpoint.
But I'm just thinking, isn't number one what everyone would think, like, that, number one is already the, you know what I mean?
Of
Yeah,
course.
it's very obvious.
Right,
But
it's
they
like,
still have to respond to number one then.
but I feel like we've already been, everyone who's ever talked to them has already said, basically, let's do number one. We haven't showed them the number one model, but obviously we've said, we wanna be making what they're making, you know?
Is someone from psychology here? My understanding is that psychology faculty have been very vocal and have put forth stepwise increases similar to these proposals as well. Do you know anything about that?
You're talking about from the faculty side.
This is what my faculty in bio told me about faculty in psychology.
See, with psychology, the faculty and the grad students are listed on separate points. There's been no communication. There have been some steps that are beginning to be taken where the right and the left hands are begin to know what the other's doing. But yeah, currently we have no idea what the faculty are doing. But it's helpful to hear that from the department.
It certainly sounds like among the reformer meetings they have psychology faculty there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's definitely some appeal to the stepwise approach. At the same rate, like, as to your negotiation strategy, there is this sort of like go in the face phenomenon where you ask for something much bigger than you actually want from someone. So if you wanted someone to help out by volunteering for one day on the weekend for some, let's say like a shelter or something like that, you might ask them to help out for an entire month. And then you go, well, I can't do that. And then you go, okay, well, can you help out for like one day this weekend? And then they go, sure. So the door in the face phenomenon suggests that maybe we should start with a very big, aggressive approach and then back down to something a little bit more reasonable. But that assumes that they're going to come back.
Yeah, just from chemistry, just to piggyback on that, our main mindset is probably asking for equal pay for equal work. But we think in working with the university, what they want to make the biggest impact for the first year incoming students. So they want the best and brightest students for the next incoming year. So we don't think that they're going to go for the proposal where we increase the price. So maybe starting with one and then accepting something incrementally less for current students versus the new students as we go through. So somewhere between 1 and 2 classes.
In my department of comparative literature, our chair is very German, and she's very much about this, and she thinks that we will get something out of this. But that's just a work in relying on that faith. We're concerned about number one because proposal number one is presenting that first because it just seems so, if from an administrative standpoint, like we're worried that we're going to be laughed out that way. And I know that it's a strategic negotiation, but we're worried that we're going to be seen as unreasonable.
And also, I guess just 2 points to what you were saying. Number one, I feel like, yes, you can do that with like, if you want to ask someone for a weekend, you might ask for more, but number one, we've got to think about time. We do have a crunch here. We've got, our negotiations have to be tight and concise. We have to go in with a real plan. If we had all day to, all year to say, no, we want to pay $3,000 for this used car, then we could do that, but I think we need to like, be pretty resolute. And number two is I feel like the meeting you already had with President Stanger and Susan Strahl, we're basically proposing that, like we're saying this, like maybe you didn't come with a listed model, but those meetings that you went to them with were basically saying, we want to make what they're making, and they basically said, we're not going to change a single thing that we're doing. So now we've had to come up with these other solutions. So in my mindset, we've already done step one of asking for the highest thing. Like, I mean, I wasn't in those meetings with you all, but it seems like that's what the meetings were about, was to say, this is a huge problem, why aren't we getting the increase that they're getting?
But of course they're gonna say, they're not gonna do it. So it's basically intimidating us from asking from a better proposal.
Right, but if our counter is to say the exact same thing, we're not getting anywhere. Our count, like, so we came and we said we want it all. They said, no, we're not giving you it all. So now we need to come back with a halfway reasonable count.
I heard with that because officially we had to submit a proposal. So just to assuming like, okay, like they said, I think it's worth a try to get to the strongest proposal.
I mean, I don't see how writing it any differently is going to change it, and it's November 20th. Like, I'm just concerned that that was our first step. We might have not written out and said exactly, but they basically said that in the meeting, and they said no. Like, my
But it didn't come off as like a we, it came off as the E-board was going there because we care.
Sam, this is how that.
Just on that, I mean, if we are as pressed for time, and it should be implied on our part and understanding part of the administration that we would want full because I would speak up very strongly in support of proposal 3 then, because I feel like if we were already been rejected on the grounds of we aren't going to get the full increase because that's double our proposed budget, which in the letter it says it's double the proposed budget, a budget that's already been expanded by the discretion of Provost Neiman. Then proposal 3 seems to be the best, moderate, workable position. And then if the school then refuses that position, then it's on them to explain it and not us. Because proposal 3 states our case that we want equal pay for equal work. It provides a way in which the university can reach the percentile that it wants, and provides everybody an increase.
Yeah.
And I think that in accomplishing those 3 things, it doesn't get them in the 75th percentile right away. It doesn't get us, if we were in biology, $23,000 right away. But the problem with proposal 5 is that it never provides a way for the university to reach its goal, based on our goals. So I think that proposal 3 is far and away the best way to go. If it's understood that there's no way that they're going to agree to giving us the full base.
Yeah.
But do we have an
Hold
official?
on,
we
we
have
have hands up here.
My thing is kind of like another idea is like whatever proposal you want to do. Obviously, everyone wants one. Apparently, it's not going to happen. But I still think you should mention it. You should be like, so we asked for a full thing. Apparently, you're not giving us that. We're being smart. We're being reasonable. So you could use it saying that so they see that we're making an effort, working with them, not against them. Be like, that's what we want. Obviously, if you want to consider it, that would be really like nice of you. But like, here is the more reasonable proposal we have for you, and then pick whichever one, guys. You think I'm real bad with numbers, so like I'll let you to decide. But I think you should mention it, saying like, here's where we come from, and now we're working with you to show them that we're not against them, and that it's like, because my problem is like I feel like it's a battle. And it is, but it shouldn't be a battle against them. We should try to have them with us, showing that we're smarter and we're working with them.
I would like to add to their comments. It's really easy to say, policy. It's really easy to protest, but it's really hard to find a solution, and we're a group of smart people, we came up with 4 solutions. We wanna show them that, we don't wanna be like, we want all the money, because everybody else is getting the money. They know we want the money, and they're not offering it to us. So I feel like we should put our best foot forward and just be like, look, this is a solution, now it's in your, now the ball is in your court.
I do just to second what you said, I like framing it in a way of reminding the administration that they're the ones who finally said that we don't get the vote. It's not us, we're voluntarily foregoing it. If the president and the dean have both said, absolutely, then that's on them, right? So we can say, okay, so the administration has made it abundantly clear to us that we are not eligible for this, so we've taken the step to say, well, let's find a way to do this. I very much.
I think even furthermore, if our plan after this, if it's still no, is to go to the media, we have a bigger leg to stand on. We've proposed something very reasonable versus us saying, no, we've proposed double the budget, and then the media's gonna, I mean, any kind of article, even if I was reading it, I would say, well, why did they expect that they would double their budget, you know? But if we say, we've actually laid it out in a plan of how reasonably we can spend this money, I think that's gonna be spun a lot more. We're gonna get university support, community support, professor support, because we're actually being reasonable.
Yeah, but being reasonable, and they still come back with the answer with a no, then we basically, even if they offer something, we have to accept a more disadvantaged proposal from them. So I kind of agree to go with the strongest, and then when they come back, because we still don't have an official answer for the proposal first, right? It was said, but we never officially submit that, and we never officially get the answer for that.
I guess my thought is just, do you really think that the heads have not sat around and thought, hey, I'll bet they want the $600,000 too? You know, do you think that was never tossed around? My point being that I think it's wasting time and not also showing that we are taking reasonable steps to think outside the box, to come up with another solution and plan to set forth, other than just, this is what this person got, so I want that too. You know, it's like, let's disperse this evenly, let's come up with a plan, a stepwise plan, or a flat rate, either one.
I understand your point, but the thing is, I think we give them too much credit to being reasonable, because when they come up with that poor plan, it doesn't show me anything but any reasonable thought, and it just makes us weaker to provide like a weaker proposal, and they can still say no, and we have to go further and provide another weaker proposal, which is a disadvantage for us.
I think we just keep backing up the
Hold
proposal.
on, we got hands up here.
Yeah, Dave Dialgi, can I motion to vote the proposal?
Okay.
So are we, do we have a second?
Wait, just a question about the motion.
Yes.
Are we voting for one proposal? Is that
I
the
think we
motion?
should vote for one or which proposals?
Maybe like a
What
one.
Chen Cheng said
Number
earlier.
one.
Yeah.
Are we
One
gonna
is-
submit only one, or has that been decided?
Define
Well-
motion.
My motion is to vote on which proposal or proposals you would like to submit.
Okay.
Second motion.
And make sure if
Just-
you're voting for multiple proposals,
First choice, first.
mark
Yeah.
which one's your favorite, which one's your second choice.
And yeah, and let's go down the attendance list. I think that's probably the clearest way to do
Can I
that.
have the attendance list?
Where is the attendance list?
We
Does everyone
do-
that is
we should have
eligible to
quorum
vote
now.
sign?
We definitely
Yeah,
do.
we
There was
do.
some kind of some.
Everyone signed it?
Thank you.
It's 5:50.
Okay, good. We've done.
Can someone repeat whatever we're doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Because I'm not sure that it's clear.
People say, my department likes this one first and then this one, or they will say, we just want this one.
So can we limit
Okay,
it
got
to
it.
two? You can.
You get
can
two
vote-
choices.
You can vote for either only one or.
It might be easier if you just
Two.
write it on the list though. No?
Also,
No,
I'm gonna
I got it,
record it
yeah.
as well.
I can't spell proposal, but I got it.
So have we completely
decided it's a bad idea to not offer them a series of possible proposals and work with them to figure out what the best solution is, if there is one that they can offer us. That seems like the best foot forward. I don't know why we're trying to pick like
They just
one.
immediately pick the worst one on the list.
Yeah, why would they pick
I would be
anything
against
that
submitting
shows
multiple proposals at once.
Well, we can like constrain the number of proposals that we're gonna give them, but I still think we should offer them a smorgasbord to pick from.
I think 2 is a fair number to offer them. That gives them the illusion of choice.
Hold on, we had a motion and we had a second. Doesn't that mean we proceed?
Yes.
We have 2 motions. Alright, anthropology.
Proposal 3.
Proposal 3 is your first choice. Do you have a second one?
Proposal 5.
Bioengineering.
Proposal 2, second.
Okay. Do you have a second choice?
No.
No? Biology.
We would like 1 and then 3.
Chemistry.
1 and then 2.
Comparative literature.
3 and then 4.
Economics.
1 and 3.
English.
3 then 5.
Geology.
3 and 1.
History.
3. We have 2 senators here from history. Do we get 2 votes?
No.
Nice.
Although the second person you have listed on your thing and one you have down here is not the same person.
She was just replaced as an officer at our most recent meeting. I don't know before it was in.
Okay.
I didn't hear history's sticker.
3.
3 and 3 alone.
Yep.
Okay. Management?
3 and 1.
Are we in that order?
Oh no.
Okay.
1 and 3.
Please state your preferred proposal first, and then your second choice.
Okay. Math.
3, then 5.
Philosophy.
3, then
Political science.
Sean, are you doing it or am I
5.
doing
You can
it?
do it, Christine.
1 and then 3.
Psychology.
3 and 5.
Sociology.
1 and 5.
1 then 5, right?
Yes.
Trip.
Oh, 3 and 5.
Is anybody not been accounted for? We're good? Okay. So. Do I add up the totals? Is that how we're doing this? Okay, so 3 got the overwhelming majority, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's a tie between proposals 1 and 5. And this is the proposal we'll be starting our negotiations with the administration with.
Can we agree that it's nonsensical to go from 3 and then to 1?
We can.
Now, even if you sort them always with number 1 first, number 3 is still the clear winner.
Yeah.
So, and for the second choice.
Oh, right, and number 5 is always second choice, so I think proposal 1 wins as the second one. But that
But
doesn't make
that's
sense.
So it doesn't make sense.
So I've ordered them where number 1 is always first.
I do think it makes sense to go, to have more than one proposal to give to the GSEU. And I also think it makes sense to vote on a specific order instead of just what we just did.
But the thing is, if we are gonna bring proposal number 1, it has to go
It has to be
first.
It has to go first.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Is there a way, so I understand why proposal 1 would have to be first, right, because the value is higher, but I'm wondering if there's a way when we take this to the GSEU meeting to say, these are the 3 proposals we're putting forward, but give them a context and say, number 3 was the overwhelming winner within the GSO meeting.
Yeah.
But then let, you know what I mean, open it up to the general body. But I think that they should know, I mean, if we go in and say these are our 3, then like everybody else said, like the vote we just had is kind of pointless to have ordered them. So
We did learn something. We did learn that more people prefer to propose number 3 in the 1 spot. As the
right, so
first
that's what I'm saying. I
proposal
think
than
that
number
should be
1.
made clear at the GSEU meeting that
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Well, we can do that.
That's good.
suggestion. So, there's a motion.
Nobody seconded it.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh,
Okay.
does anybody want to second that?
I'm gonna guess after 5 minutes, probably not.
It's dead, no, it's dead. So,
So then I
do you,
move
yeah, go for
to
it.
submit those three proposals, 1, 3, and 5, with the context that 3 was the winner in the GSO election.
To the GSU.
Yes.
Anyone want to second that?
Dave from Geology seconds.
Should we vote on, yeah.
So, so the motion is being approved. No objection.
Should we do a roll call?
This is a roll call?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Anthropology?
To approve it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engineering? Biology?
Yes.
Chemistry? Computer comparative literature? Economics?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Geology?
Yes.
History?
Yes.
Management?
Yes.
Math?
Yes.
Philosophy?
Abstain.
Political science? Psychology?
Yeah.
Sociology?
Abstain.
Trip?
Yes.
Alright. What? Yeses, 3 abstentions.
Brief comment, I'm bad at counting. Number 1 and number 3 are actually tied for the number 1
Thank
spot.
you. Thank you very much.
Number 1 and number 3 are tied for the first spot.
But no, because number 1 has more firsts than
That doesn't
seconds.
according to my information.
All of the ones for number 5 were seconds.
Can we,
No, I'm
shall we
comparing 1
rewind our
and 3
tape?
1 and 3? Oh.
For the number 1
I mean, there was
spot.
also issues where people would say 3 then 1 or 1 then 3 and then you'd ask about
I
the order.
corrected those, assuming that number 1 is always first and 3 is always second.
But why would,
Corrected one of them.
that's what, I don't understand, why are we assuming that?
It's illogical to go 3 and 1.
Well, not
Not
necessarily. You could say like, oh, I'm being reasonable. Here's my proposal, and then oh, you're not. Well, here's my real proposal, and then go back to 1.
Rather than debate this, I think it's more productive for anyone who are, because all the individuals who did that are in the room, so I would ask that they volunteer clarification.
But I don't know that we're voting about which order to present them in, we're voting about which one they feel, like their department feels makes the most sense.
Yes.
We're giving the comments, we're not giving it away.
Right, we're not going to, so like, if they said 3 then 1, it's not that they're saying, we should present them 3 and then present them 1, they're saying, we feel most affinity to 3 and then affinity to 5.
Yes, so we also tallied the totals, and number 3 was the clear winner, just grand total.
Okay.
Right.
But
Wait
isn't
for
this
each
clear?
spot.
Doesn't it?
Okay, that hasn't changed.
That has not changed.
But this could all change at the GSCU meeting for Jordan's.
Right, come to the GSE
Why do we
meeting.
have to
Yeah.
No, I screwed up counting, and I
So,
felt like,
so the
I'm
motion
sorry.
has been moved?
I didn't want
The
to give
motion
anybody
was
the wrong
passed.
idea, because I'm bad at
Okay.
Is there any other motions? Or
Any other motions?
I don't have a motion, but I did send out a second list for my signatures, and I don't know where it went.
Here it is.
You didn't pass it around?
They've already got it.
Did everyone get this?
Um,
Alright, please sign it.
I want to thank you guys for coming out and spending the time to do this. You guys have been really great talking to your constituents about this. I really appreciate it. If you have time, come to the GSCU meeting at 6.
All right, can I have a?
Wait a second.
What?
Don't we want to announce the rally?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Can we announce the rally?
Go ahead.
I thought it was decided not to. Oh, but go
What?
ahead.
Wait, when was the rally decided against? That doesn't make any sense, we talked about what's going forward.
No, I thought we decided not to announce at this meeting.
Oh, well, I mean, why would we do that? If people can't come to the GSE meeting, they should still go.
Because there was not enough time and also like, I mean, since we're talking about the rally,
Well, I mean, it's related to the proposal, because we're delivering on it Monday, so. I mean, it doesn't matter to me if it's announced here.
To go on Senator.
So I can't type in the whole
We have these
description.
proposals,
It
right?
just keeps on coming everywhere.
if we don't back it up with people power. So when we deliver the proposal, the idea is that people will come out to the spine, we'll talk about it a little more, people that maybe don't know, then we'll walk over to the Ely University Administration Building, hang out on the first floor while a small group goes up and delivers the proposal that we've just voted on, right? Because the university doesn't give a shit, it's just a couple people from the e-board of the GSO. The idea is that you're active in the GSO, you're active in GSU, and you want to see yourself get this raise, whatever it may turn out to be, right? So we're going to have this rally Monday at 1 o'clock. We're going to meet right outside here. It's perfect. It's right in between classes. If you have class, skip it. If you have students, bring them too. Bring your faculty, you know. If everyone really is supporting us, then you should all come.
Well, talking about the rally, since everybody is here, I personally feeling strongly about having the rally at Tuesday, the following day, not Monday, because the e-board, the GSO e-board and GSU representative are meeting with President Stenger and the Provost Neiman, and I just feel like it's more appropriate we do the rally after we officially submitted the proposal.
I think we're going to talk about this more at the GSU meeting.
Yes, but we had a motion to talk about it, right?
He can't give them
I
much.
can't do crap. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to talk about strategy at the GSU meeting and fill in the detail with people.
I mean, is this a union activity or a GSO activity?
Both.
Or maybe there's no point in even drawing a distinction.
Oh, okay. Can you show by how many people are going to the GSU meeting? Like half of you? And how many people would still be on campus on Tuesday? I think the only reason you guys decided to do that on Monday is because, and you're thinking about people leaving on Tuesday.
Well, it was supposed to coincide with whenever the proposal was being presented. That was the point of having the rally. Is to show that the grad students are backing whatever proposal.
Yeah, but we should officially present
Yeah, I just got the mail today.
before.
I'll add it to
Because
the.
I didn't even know about the meeting or anything.
I emailed you.
No, I did from you, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. All right, thank you.
Okay, great.
I'll see you guys at GSU,
Okay,
but I
so
have another job.
Take a motion to have the meeting in June?
I do.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you again.
Good job, people. Go team, go.
So an hour.
Half an hour.